Imagine a world where NATO, Russia, and China are at war. What would be the consequences? A chilling proposition, isn't it? But let's indulge in this hypothetical situation for a moment. We're not advocating for it, mind you, but exploring it as an intellectual exercise. The stage is set for a global conflict, the likes of which the world has never seen before. A showdown between NATO, a powerful military alliance of 29 North American and European countries, and the two formidable Eastern powers Russia and China. Such a conflict would undoubtedly ripple across the globe, affecting every corner, every nation, every individual. The magnitude of this hypothetical scenario is almost too immense to comprehend, but, for the sake of understanding, let's break it down. The immediate implications would be devastating. The loss of life, the destruction of cities, the displacement of populations, the human cost would be unimaginable. And that's just the direct impact. The indirect consequences, economic turmoil, political upheaval, social unrest, would be equally catastrophic, if not more so. And then, there's the global stage. Every nation would be forced to take a side. Neutrality would be a luxury few could afford. The world map would be redrawn, alliances reshuffled, power dynamics altered. The global order as we know it would crumble and give way to a new, uncertain era. Let's not forget the technological implications. In this digital age, cyber warfare would play a significant role. Cyber attacks could cripple economies, disrupt infrastructures, and sow chaos. The World Wide Web, a tool designed for connectivity, could become a weapon of mass destruction. Finally, there's the threat of nuclear warfare. In a conflict involving nuclear-armed nations, the possibility of a nuclear showdown is a terrifying reality. The fallout, both literal and figurative, would be catastrophic. This is not a scenario anyone would want to see, but let's delve into the possible outcomes. This hypothetical showdown serves as a stark reminder of the importance of diplomacy, dialogue, and international cooperation. The stakes are too high, the costs too great, for a world at war. But by understanding the potential consequences, we can better appreciate the need for peace and stability. First, we need to consider the military strength of each of these powers. Diving right in, let's start with NATO. This power bloc comprises 29 nations, each with its own military forces. The combined strength of NATO's forces is a staggering number, with millions of active personnel. It's important to note that this includes the United States, a country with a military budget that exceeds the next 7 countries combined. NATO's arsenal is varied and technologically advanced, boasting precision-guided munitions, stealth technology, and a robust network of intelligence. Now let's pivot eastward to Russia. Despite having fewer troops than NATO, Russia's military might shouldn't be underestimated. Russia is renowned for its advanced weaponry, including state-of-the-art tanks, aircraft, and missile systems. Its nuclear arsenal is the largest in the world, and its cyber warfare capabilities are considered among the most sophisticated globally. It's an old saying, but worth repeating. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Finally, let's turn our attention to China. The People's Liberation Army, or PLA, is the world's largest military force, with a staggering 2 million active personnel. While historically lagging in terms of technology, China has been rapidly modernizing its military in recent years. It now boasts an array of advanced weaponry, including intercontinental ballistic missiles, stealth fighters, and aircraft carriers. Its cyber warfare capabilities are also a growing concern. So, where does this leave us? On one side we have NATO, a coalition of nations with a vast array of advanced weaponry and a massive military budget. On the other side we have Russia and China, each with its own strengths. Russia with its advanced weaponry and cyber capabilities, and China with its sheer numbers and rapidly modernizing military. The military balance of power is certainly a crucial factor in this hypothetical war, but it's not the only one. Another key factor in this scenario is the economic strength of each party involved. Let's begin by taking a look at NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. This group comprises 28 member countries with economic powerhouses like the United States, Germany, and the United Kingdom in their ranks. Together, these nations represent a sizable chunk of the world's GDP. The combined economic strength of NATO is a formidable force with the ability to finance an extended conflict, should it arise. The alliance's economic health, however, varies from country to country, and the burden of war could strain some members more than others. Moving east, we find Russia. With its vast natural resources and strong industrial sector, Russia wields considerable economic clout. However, its economy is not as robust as that of NATO. Despite having the world's largest natural gas reserves and the second largest coal reserves, Russia's dependence on oil and gas exports makes it vulnerable to fluctuations in global commodity prices. Additionally, its ability to finance a protracted war could be hampered by international sanctions and a less diverse economy. Last but certainly not least, we have China. As the world's second-largest economy, China is a powerhouse in its own right. Its rapid economic growth over the past few decades has been nothing short of remarkable. It has a diversified economy with strong manufacturing, services, and technology sectors. However, China also carries a substantial amount of debt, which could affect its ability to sustain a prolonged conflict. Each of these entities, NATO, Russia, and China, brings a unique economic profile to the table. They have the financial muscle to wage war, but the costs would be immense, and the ripple effects would reverberate around the globe. Trade routes could be disrupted, markets could crash, and economies could enter recessions. With such significant economic power on each side, the impact of a war would undoubtedly be felt globally. Lastly, we must consider the geopolitical alliances that each party has. Alliances are not just about military might, but also about diplomatic support, economic ties, and shared strategic interests. They are the invisible threads that bind nations together and give rise to a complex web of geopolitical relationships. Let's first look at NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Comprising 29 member countries across North America and Europe, NATO is a formidable alliance. It's built on the principle of collective defense, where an attack on one member is considered an attack on all. This could potentially translate into a massive show of force in our hypothetical war scenario. On the other side of the coin, we have China and Russia. While they aren't part of a formal alliance like NATO, their relationship has been growing stronger over the years. They share a common interest in challenging the Western-led world order and have cooperated on various regional and global issues. In a conflict situation, it's not unthinkable that they might deepen their cooperation. However, it's essential to note that alliances can shift in times of crisis. Countries that are neutral or even unfriendly could become allies if their interests align. For instance, countries in Asia or Africa might side with China due to their strong economic ties, or Eastern European nations might join NATO to counter a perceived threat from Russia. And let's not forget about the United Nations and other international bodies. They play a crucial role in maintaining global peace and security, and their stance could significantly influence the course of the conflict. In the end, wars are not just about who has the bigger army or the stronger economy, they are also about who has more friends and allies. In this chess game of global politics, alliances can be as important as the pieces on the board, shaping strategies and determining outcomes. The shifting sands of geopolitical alliances could significantly alter the course of this hypothetical war. So what would happen if NATO went to war with Russia and China? It's a complex question with no easy answers. Intricacies of this hypothetical warfare lie in the interplay of military strength, economic prowess, and geopolitical alliances. Each plays a significant role in determining the potential outcome of a conflict on such a scale. Let's begin with military strength. Russia and China, individually, hold formidable military might. Combined, they present a daunting challenge even for the robust collective defense machinery of NATO. Their combined arsenal, which includes nuclear capabilities, could potentially cause catastrophic damage. However, NATO is not without its own formidable defense systems and strategies, holding a strong position in the face of adversity. Next, we move on to economic power. War, after all, is not only about boots on the ground and firepower, but also about the economic stamina to sustain a long-term conflict. Here, the collective economic power of NATO, led by the United States, far surpasses that of Russia and China. This economic strength could be a critical factor, influencing the ability to sustain a prolonged war, fund military advancements, and endure the potential for domestic upheaval. The third component is geopolitical alliances. These are not just about the number of allies, but also their strategic locations, the strength of their military forces, and their willingness to engage in conflict. NATO's allies span the globe, offering strategic advantages. However, Russia and China also have their own alliances, which could prove instrumental in a potential conflict. But let's remember, this is not a game of risk. Real-world consequences of such a conflict would be tremendous, affecting global stability, economies, and countless lives. The balance of power, the dynamics of military strength, economic power, and geopolitical alliances, All of these are crucial factors in understanding the complexity of this hypothetical scenario. While this is a scenario no one wants to see, understanding these dynamics can help us work towards a future of peace and stability.